Good morning. I'm sorry I couldn't be with you in person today, but I'm grateful for this opportunity as you begin the no-kidding vital work of this year's Maintenance Symposium. Now, a little over a year ago, I stood on a stage in front of many of you in Salt Lake City. We had a frank conversation about a fundamental shift in the character of war. We said then that the era of uncontested logistics, the era where we could move our forces and supplies across the globe at will, was over. We spoke about the hard reality of the last tactical 1,000 miles and the urgent need to prepare our entire sustainment enterprise for a high-end fight that would begin even before we left our own shores. We said we would have to fight to get to the fight. That is still true. But today, we have to rebalance our focus from the urgent needs of the present to the strategic demands of the future. It is no longer sufficient to plan for how we will survive in a contested environment. Now, we must build a logistics enterprise so powerful, so resilient, and so formidable that it actively deters conflict from ever beginning in the first place. This is the essence of this symposium's theme: advancing readiness to exploit the logistics deterrent effect. We are moving beyond logistics as a supporting effort and transforming it into a primary strategic tool. Our goal is to present the potential adversary not just with the prospect of an unfair fight, but with the certainty of losing a war of endurance, a war of simultaneous global conflicts over long distances and protracted in time. Our readiness becomes their strategic dilemma. A true deterrent is not just the visible steel of our ships, of our aircraft, of our armored vehicles. It is the certain knowledge that we can repair, rearm, reset, and replenish those forces faster than they can be consumed. We must make them understand that our capacity to sustain the fight is the very weapon that will make them choose not to fight at all. For generations, deterrence has been measured in firepower, the number of ships, the reach of our aircraft, the lethality of our missiles. These remain vital. But our adversaries have studied us. They believe that they have found our Achilles heel, our weakness, not in our capacity for violence, but in our ability to sustain that violence. Think of it as the difference between a sprinter and a marathon runner. An adversary might believe they can survive a short, sharp, violent sprint. But can they survive a marathon, the hard yards where the pace is grueling and victory is determined by depth, resilience, and stamina? Our logistics enterprise is our strategic stamina. It is the ability to take a blow, return to our corner, and come out for the next round just as strong, just as capable of dropping him to the canvas and dare him to get up again. This is the new calculus of deterrence, where we convince our enemies that they simply cannot last and therefore they cannot win. This requires a fundamental shift in our thinking. It means we can no longer view our supply chains, our maintenance depots, and our industrial base as a cost center to be minimized. We must see them for what they are, the primary source of our staying power and therefore one of the most potent punches we have to throw. So what does a force with this kind of stamina look like? First, it is clairvoyant, big word, all-seeing. Its logistics enterprise is not just reactive, it's predictive. It sees the future through a lens of data, anticipating needs before they arise. It moves parts before they are requested and stages repairs before systems fail. It operates with an intelligence, both human and machine, that seems to anticipate an adversary's every move, creating a sense of inevitability that is demoralizing and ultimately deterring to our enemies. Second, it is ubiquitous, another big word. Its strength is not concentrated in a few vulnerable pillars, but distributed across a resilient web. In that sense, it's everywhere and nowhere. The force draws strength from a network of smaller, agile logistics nodes and is seamlessly integrated with its allies. To strike at its sustainment is like trying to sever a single strand of a massive net. There is no single point of failure. There is no decisive blow to be landed. Finally, it's perpetual. This force is backed by an inexhaustible wellspring of industrial power. Its foundation, both commercial and organic, provides a deep and responsive magazine for repair, regeneration, and innovation. It can absorb the punches, the losses, and regenerate capability faster than an adversary can inflict damage. Through this, it protects an unshakable confidence that it simply will not quit. A logistics enterprise that is clairvoyant, ubiquitous, and perpetual may sound like science fiction, but it is not. The work you do here this week is about more than just efficiency. It is about building this undeniable deterrent that will safeguard peace. It's the maintainer, the warehouseman, the logistician, and the engineer who will forge the links in this chain of deterrence. Your task is to ensure that when our adversaries look at the United States, they see not just a nation that can fight, but a nation that can outlast anyone. A nation that through its sustainment will go the distance and win. Look, when we put 1.5 pounds of pressure on the trigger of an M4 and a single round leaves the barrel at 3,000 feet per second and it ventilates the forehead of an enemy that desperately needs it, we know that there's 29 more rounds in the magazine. We know that there's a pallet of 5.56 behind him, and we know that a C5 full of ammo crates is on its way. Make our resilience our most feared weapon. Thanks, everybody. Now, just like last year, let's get to work.